Good afternoon, good day, and welcome to the business brunch. Nothing to see here. No, do stay with us. Shall I take this off? I don't know. I quite like it.
Keep it on. Keep it on.
Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes, we can hear you.
So welcome to the business brunch. We are your working from home team on Halloween. A little bit different. Please do say hello in the comments. Tell us that we've dressed up for a reason and that there's somebody out there at least. Turn on the chat so I can see. So we are your working from here home team. We are here to help you learn and evolve and connect, learn and thrive. So do connect with each other. We hope in the next 45 minutes or so to give you information that will help you in your professional life, but also in your private life too. So can you take me seriously with this?
No.
Shall we? Oh goodness me! Phew! Oh my goodness! Outstanding! Oh my word! It's so itchy. I should just let me do my hair. So welcome to the business brunch, and thanks for joining us. I am Vanessa Ashworth. And we have Sarah Farmer, executive leadership coach, with us, and Yoda. Down below, Melinda Ward, who is our strategic business consultant. So welcome. As I said, we're here to help you connect, learn and thrive. And today is Halloween, and what can be more terrifying than the words annual appraisal? The fear of feedback is what this is all about. And it's horrible, isn't it? It's horrible for managers. It's horrible for employees. And so Sarah is going to impart her wisdom, and we're going to discuss that. We want you to join in and give us examples of where you've had feedback, whether it's been a good experience or a bad experience. I think it's often negative, isn't it? I think, and maybe this is something you'll look at, but as Brits, I mean, I know that we have an international audience, but as Brits, we have a tendency to be quite negative, and we're not good at giving compliments, are we? So maybe we'll look at that as well. But do say hello in the comments. I can see some of the comments coming in. Do give us examples of feedback that you've received, whether it's been a good or bad itchy. Whoa. And
you're going to take that off. Make sure there's something underneath, please.
Yeah, no, I won't, but I am dressed underneath. Nice and warm for winter. And also we'll say hello shortly and tell us about your weekends. So actually we've got a few people saying hello. So why don't, Melinda, you do that? Go through that. Then we'll talk about our weekends, and then we'll get into the subject matter. Can you
We've got Danny saying that there are strong John Belushi, but revised later to Jim Belushi, in Trading Prices vibes from Vanessa, which is going to confuse people who've joined after you changed your look.
But I need to keep doing this every so often.
Hello, yeah.
We have greetings from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, from Kimberly. Thank you, Kimberly. And we have hello from London from Chris.
Hello, Chris.
Hey, Chris. Thanks for joining us. And also, in addition to what Vanessa's just suggested, say hi and everything else. If you've got any questions about feedback, I know not everybody is trained to give it, or they have been and they may have forgotten some of the salient points, as we all do as we go through life. So what questions have you got? I'll see if I can answer them as well. I will do my best. So yeah, let us know. But should we go to weekends then?
Yeah, go on, weekends. So Sarah, how was your weekend?
Well, I'm going to cut mine really short. Can I just say, first of all, I'm sorry I'm not as dressed up as you two. I did have a witch's outfit, but I bought it in the wrong size and it was huge and obscene. So I've just got the hat on. But my weekend was very quiet, very nice. I just, we potted around, did family stuff, and it was really nice. I did go to a lovely restaurant called Fish in London where they served fish. My daughter said, what do they serve on the menu? I was like, chicken. I mean, they did serve a bit of chicken too. But my weekend was very quiet compared to both of yours. So Vanessa, I'd just like to start with a very happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday.
You're almost a grown-up now. So tell us what you did. Tell us what you did.
Okay, so yeah, it was my birthday yesterday. I hit the big 50. I don't know if you, I hit
Yay.
Well done, you still got your own teeth and everything.
Welcome to the dark side.
Amazing, isn't it? Oh, I'm all wonky now. And you can see this. I had a cake, and I posted on it. I had a big autumnal kind of trunk of a tree with mushrooms growing on it. It was fabulous. And one of my friends, I mean, I was surrounded by love, you know, and my mum had helped me clean the house from all the workshops we'd been doing for the festival. But like my family came, loads of the volunteers came to the party, my friends, local friends, my mum friends. I was surrounded by loads of love, and it was just gorgeous. It was gorgeous. And one of my friends, you know, Rivington is a big part of my life where I volunteer, made the pigeon tower as a cake. So I don't know if you can see that.
Oh, wow.
I know. And this was, you know, and I got so many. I said to everybody, don't bring gifts. It's a pigeon tower.
Incredible.
Isn't that really great? So lovely. But some people brought like, I'm full of hair, little gifts, you know, really beautiful things. So yeah, I had a gorgeous weekend. We had a party at the house on Saturday night. I don't know how many people came, 40 or 50 people. It was ace, and loads of fun. And then yesterday we walked up to Rivington with a hangover and got some fresh air and had some black peas, which is a very Bolton thing. I know nobody else does black peas anywhere else in the world, but it's a bonfire night tradition in Bolton. They have a cup of black peas.
Very nice. Well, happy birthday to you.
Yes,
And happy weekend. And Yoda, you look different.
Yes.
Yoda looked different on Saturday. Do you want to give us a very quick review of what you did?
I went to, with a group of friends, there's about 15, 18 of us, who did zombie bride and bridesmaid bowling, like 10-pin bowling and karaoke. So we all dressed up in gowns with makeup and went into central London, and yeah, had an absolutely hilarious time. And actually Saturday, it was a busy weekend. Saturday I did something quite cool also. Went up to Birmingham, where, yeah, there's that.
Melinda is the one with the blue face, bluey grey face, but
the tiara, obviously, always with the tiara.
Always a tiara, but wow. Wow.
And Saturday went up to Birmingham and went to the oldest cinema in the UK.
Right.
And saw a film from 1927. It was a special screening we did, and it was a film called Sunrise. And it was the film that won the first ever Oscar for Best Picture, and the first ever Oscar for Best Actress.
Cool.
And you know, I'm listening to you, and you sound perfectly sensible, and you had but you're Yoda. I can't get over this moving mouth talking about Oscars and films.
Right. Shall we? Well done, you. You both had amazing weekends. I doff my little witch's cap to you. Shall we crack on?
Yeah, let's crack on. So yeah, like, as we said, very scary feedback and that annual appraisal idea. So why is it so scary?
Do I keep Yoda on or lose Yoda?
It depends if you want to speak to me or not, because if you speak to me and I'm talking about feedback and you're telling me something serious, I'm not going to take it seriously. But I do love you in green.
It is a good colour, yeah.
We'll keep you on for a while. So yeah, feedback. I actually wrote an article about this on LinkedIn last Wednesday. So if anybody wants to see what I wrote about it, then please go back and have a look in that. I'm just seeing, actually, I've just go to Andy straight away, because you can put that onto the screen.
Go on, I've got it. I've done it.
Yeah, so I don't think feedback should really be a surprise if it is, and it points to so this is one of the biggest points, Andy, well made, is that the reason most of us fear feedback is we are surprised about what we're hearing, and this comes because we haven't been given a clear direction of what we're supposed to be doing, or we've not been checked in with regularly enough, or we've got real low self-esteem, or just enough low self-esteem to think, oh, I'm a fraud, I know I've got it wrong. And I know many people with the imposter syndrome mindset will understand what I say when I'm saying that. It's like we immediately think, God, I've done something wrong. I've been there, and I still get that feeling. So being able to be more clear about what's expected from you and being given regular, consistent, good feedback throughout the time that you're with, a leader or within your organization is absolutely vital. So I'll ask Yoda, what do you think about that then? Can you see the link between, I know we've talked before about, we've had some very interesting feedback, we've been put in difficult situations. Do you see the link between lack of clarity and certainty in what you were doing that led to the feeling of discomfort when getting that feedback? I might have to go to the gorilla instead.
Definitely. I think that it's the uncertainty. I mean, it's one thing if you've kind of not, completed a task or not done something, right? Then you could say, okay, legit, I expected this feedback. It's not great. Things happen. And how can we fix it? Oh, sorry. But what is better, and or what I think makes the most stress is when people feel like they're being blindsided or blamed for something that they didn't have clarity on, and like, well, why are you telling me this? I didn't know I was supposed to do this. There was no clear guidance here. More to Andy's point, it shouldn't be a surprise.
Absolutely.
And there should be, those clear objectives. And also we can deal a little bit with, I think, that fear of failure that we've been talking about, where if people have a fear that if they don't do something perfectly, they might lose their job or whatever, then that's going to make feedback all the worse. But if you're encouraging a culture of innovation and trying things, as long as they're being tried with the right support and the right attitude, like not setting people up to fail, but to try something and try it from a point of having it researched, having prepared, being ready, then the feedback should be, hey, okay, this didn't work. What didn't work? Let's figure this out. And that can be, ideally, feedback should be collaborative, not a one-way dump of negativity.
So good points, well made. There's one thing I say in the article is that feedback is just feedback. People go, I don't like giving negative feedback. Well, if feedback is done right, it is just feedback. It's not negative or positive. It's just future focus, helping somebody develop. And the whole point of it is that our intent when we're giving it is to help someone see what they're already doing brilliantly or well enough, and to help them think of ways to do things even better next time if they wanted to. I think we mix up giving feedback with giving, having a difficult personal development plan type conversation because someone's done something wrong. That's a coaching and development conversation where you give feedback within that. But the intent is, I'm giving you this feedback to help you. One thing that we often forget to do is to give people positive feedback. I'm going to call it positive and negative now, but the real easy feedback to give is, hey, Vanessa, I saw you doing that thing today. I thought you did it brilliantly. And we don't stop there, though. We carry on with, tell me why you did that. Why did you choose to do it that way? And then Vanessa can explain why she did that and why she did it that way, because Vanessa, funnily enough, is just doing what she thinks is right and hasn't necessarily linked that with being very good, which means it's not repeatable, it's not embedded as good. So we're missing out on these wonderful opportunities just to go, hey, I noticed you do that. It was great.
There's some comments from that have come in on that point. I was going to say, we've got, Chris is saying he's picked up a number of models along the way to aid in feedback, such as GROW. But it's rare that he's had it delivered in that way. So I think there's definitely a need in the business world for learning and guidance around, how to give good feedback and what are models such as GROW. And how to
Can I answer that as well with some myths that go underneath that? It's a really good point that Chris has made. There's lots of models you can use out there. Grow is a really good one. But actually, if we just remember that our role in life, if we're leading people or if we're giving people feedback, is there the right intent, which is to help people be the best they can be. That's the first thing. If we really, really believe that, and we really try to do that, whatever comes out of our mouths next is usually a lot better. There's a lot of myths that grow. The reason people get trained and don't use it is well, it's really common that happens. And the classic myths I've heard, I'll be interested to see if anyone's got any more, is people say to me, I don't have time to give feedback. Well, of course, my answer is you don't have time not to give feedback, because the amount of time we waste solving problems that have occurred because we haven't given feedback in a timely or appropriate manner is just astronomical in comparison to the time it takes to give feedback. Feedback isn't something else you do. It's just part of your conversation. And when it becomes part of what you do, you don't need any more time to do it. It's just part of your conversation instead of just focusing on the other stuff, which may not be as valuable.
Jump in there, sorry, I wanted to say, because I don't know Grow, so I've just Googled it. And so Grow is goals, reality, options, and will. So that's interesting. I like that. And then the whole idea that you don't have time for feedback. And that's this whole timing bit, I'm sure you'll come back to. Waiting for the annual appraisal. It should be all the time, shouldn't it? It's making time all the time for recognizing great behavior, recognizing results, recognizing good work and valuable contributions, and also then noticing when someone's out of sorts and someone isn't doing what they usually do, or doing things well. It's a recognition of all things, isn't it? And
it is. I'll come to Danny's comment in just a second, but just a quick story. I remember my first experience of having to give feedback and to these annual appraisals where people's bonuses matter, are dependent on it. The way they feel depends upon it. The way they're not just their bonus, but whether they get a bigger pay rise than other people depends. It's all part of that bell curve.
Yeah.
And I had my first absolute disaster, which made me realize how to do it right, which was I knew one of the team I picked up was underperforming. And because she hadn't been with me that long, I did not have a conversation with her about that. I just let it go. I thought, well, I'll deal with it when she comes to the end of year review. And then all hell breaks loose. It breaks loose because I'm anxious, because I don't want to give that feedback. And I know I'm going to say, I'm sorry, but you're not in the top part of the performance curve, which means you'll get this. She knew she'd been underperforming and was going to try and talk me out of it. It was awful, absolutely awful. But what was really interesting from that is we both had a massive learning experience. Was she knew she could have piped up earlier and asked for help earlier. She actually needed help. And I should have had that conversation much, much sooner and much more regularly. And when you see leaders who do this and don't make it, I think someone said, maybe we don't have it as a timeline thing, is that if you constantly give feedback, there is no surprise. And it's when we're surprised or under pressure, we go into this threat state of mind, which makes us fight or flight. And we cannot operate very well and communicate and problem solve when we're feeling like that, because our cognitive function's all screwed up. So let's see what.
Have a look at Danny's comment. Danny is saying, I feel that part of the challenge is our semantic association of the word feedback with negativity on both sides of the discussion, which is exactly what you've just been describing, and try using advice in its place.
Yeah, I'm not so keen on advice, because actually feedback, the essence of feedback is to share what you are seeing and what you are hearing. That is it. We've got feedback completely wrong. Feedback isn't a judgment. Feedback isn't a perception. Feedback isn't my biased thought about what you do. And I know, Melinda, you gave us a great example of that before we came on air, is that the example you shared about the guy. Well, I'll let you share it in a second, because it's a really good example of this. But it's not about giving advice. It's, I saw you do this. I noticed you did that. I heard you say this. It's pure fact. What we tend to do is give fiction, which is our own interpretation of what we've seen, which means we're giving judgments and we're giving a biased view. So Danny's also said, ask for feedback and create a critic, ask for advice and create a partner. Yeah, it's a partnership. Even the word critic is hard, isn't it? We need to remove all these negative connotations with it that we've all grown up with. And actually it starts from when we're tiny children and we're told off at school. That's feedback, but we're made to feel that big. That's where it often starts. Parents put us down. I'm not saying mine did, but parents can put us down. Carers, friends, all the things that happen to us that put us into this I'm not so good mindset, bit of the imposter syndrome stuff coming in there possibly. But we fear being told off, being told we're wrong. There's a lot of stuff coming through, but Melinda, just very quickly, that I don't know if you feel, is it appropriate to share that bit of feedback you gave us before we started about the guy?
The new manager one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some time ago, I had a new director who started literally 2 weeks before my annual performance review was due and took no input from previous management. Other people just steamed in. And after literally one phone conversation with me, the written review form that I got back said only occasional flashes of brilliance. And with no context, is this good? Is this bad? Because of course you take it and at first you're thinking, well, rude. But then it's like, well, was that really trying to be positive, but just being really bad in the delivery of it? It was just, it was just
really, really bad. And Vanessa, your comment when you heard that was brilliant.
Well, it was just the idea occasional. How many do I need to have to meet expectations? How brilliant do I need to be? How often to get that tick in the box?
Which is why we need the goals. We need to know, what are we trying to achieve? We need a vision of what we're going for. We need to know our own goals, and underneath those goals sits the behaviors and the values that allow us to achieve those. So many organizations don't even have that yet. It's appalling, and they wonder why they have behavioral issues, and then people come in and they're angry because they've been given bad feedback. I mean, it all stems from the very underneath, which is we're not creating an environment where feedback is possible, comfortable, desirable, and when we do, everything starts to change. But then you'd have to be very clear about what you're trying to achieve in the first place. We've got some good stuff coming in, but thanks for sharing that. I think it's a good example. Let's see what.
So Chris is saying, how can you change organization from only doing feedback at formal annual events and not through those ad hoc interactions? And I'm going to go straight to the next one because it's the same variation on a theme from Andy. It says maybe feedback shouldn't be scheduled as in annual appraisal, but given, as and when those moments occur.
Okay, so to go back to Chris's question, it's a really good question, and it's something as a coach I work on a lot with the organizations that I work with. You have to create an environment that, first of all, is safe enough. So you've got to build a high trust relationship within the organization. Psychological safety is absolutely key. So if you've got an organization that doesn't do it, we cannot change the organization. I mean, yes, bring in a coach, bring me in. I'd love to get my teeth into these people, not literally, but to help them see the benefits of it. The only way that you can do it is start doing it yourself, giving feedback regularly yourself, take ownership, start showing people that you're the leader that others want to follow. Lead the way. It only takes one crazy dancer to attract another crazy dancer onto the dance floor, and then loads more start to follow. I don't know if you've seen that clip, but it's just a great way to show how people start to follow suit. Somebody has to be the crazy person on the dance floor to start with. You're not crazy though. You just, there you go. Melinda would so be there. So start doing what you expect. You'd be amazed how this ripple effect can start impacting other people. Make sure everyone that is responsible for you gives you feedback. Ask for it. Ask them for specific feedback. Think about what is it you want to know? How am I doing? what have you noticed about the way that I'm doing this particular work? What do you like about it? Is there anything you could suggest that I could do differently? Ask very easy questions that are easy to understand, but they might have to think to answer them. It's a big piece of work. Sorry, Melinda.
Should we go on to some of the additional comments
Yes.
here? Because we've got a bit of a backlog. So
Sorry, yeah.
Kimberly is saying, I agree. An innovative culture learns from mentors, peers, and short-term failure. The bounce back comes from trust and learner determination.
Agreed.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely agree. The culture is absolutely key. If you've got a low trust culture where whatever you do is feared, because if you stand out for the wrong reasons or even the right reasons, you're going to have your neck above the parapet or your head above the parapet, and it could get shot off. Low trust cultures are a real problem. Feedback does not happen here. You just get abuse in these places. What's next?
Next is Danny just saying exactly that. Those negative connotations are his point. If our default view on hearing, could I give you some feedback, is fear, unpicking and anchoring is always going to be tough. I completely agree that feedback should be objective. Unfortunately, people don't have a default setting for objectivity.
No, they need to learn how to be objective. I mean, I teach people how to give feedback. It's a course, and what's a real shame is that this comes back to leaders are never trained to be leaders. Very rarely are they given the right training. They might be giving some at the best, and for some of them, nothing. They're just given a job. Hey, you were great at sales, be a leader. Oh my gosh. We need to be very careful who we're putting into leadership positions. We need to give them the training, the support, and the ongoing development to allow them to learn the skills like coaching, like feedback, like supporting, like giving recognition, all these things that people just assume you should know as a leader, and then they wonder why they fail, and then the leader feels shite about it, and it's not really their fault. All right, they could have done something about it. They could have chosen to learn. But yeah, it comes from the top down, and we need to teach people how to do it.
Yeah, and Andy's saying that things like annual appraisals, annual goal setting, and the like can be well-intentioned, but it's lazy management and ultimately helps very little. I think there's nothing wrong with having goal setting and things like that, and having clear, achievable goals, but that shouldn't be the only time that they are discussed. It's that how do you use it that's the key. It's not the fact that you should do away with them. It's they can be used more effectively.
Used better. So this is my plea to any leader that ever watches this is, first of all, please always have a clear mission and a vision for your team, your organization, and make it be exciting and inviting and inspiring. Please. Those of you who don't have one, you're already sailing your ship in the wrong direction. Please, please, please have goals that help me understand, as someone who works with you, what I'm doing, how I contribute. I really need to know that. That's part of my psychological safety requirements. It's just human beings' needs. Please, 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 please tell me you're going to give me feedback. Let's discuss how I like to receive feedback, and let's make it really, really regular, and learn how to give it to me. I'm mad. The dog agrees completely. Give feedback well. But to give feedback, you need to know, you need to be able to understand your own mindset, what's driving your thoughts, manage your bias. I mean, there's a whole lot of stuff that goes underneath this. Make sure your mindset's right when you're giving it, and you purely give observations. I have seen, I heard, not I think this, it made me feel. That doesn't matter. It's the feedback you've got to give that is based on fact, not fiction. And please, please, please give me the recognition that I deserve as regularly as possible, the way that I would like it, that matters to me, and give me the support that I need to help me be better. Don't just tell me, give me gaps to jump into to say this could be better. Help me do that. That creates high performance, a high performance culture that is filled with highly fulfilled individuals wanting to do more, do their best. And there will always be a few people that fall through the cracks, that don't like it. It won't land well. Maybe they're just in the wrong place at the wrong time. But imagine if we could massively reduce and minimize the number of people that are getting what they feel is bad feedback, poor treatment, and making them feel unwell and making them leave. It's got to get better, and it starts with better leadership training.
Yeah. And we've got some more questions, and I'm going to re-show one just because the comment following is related to it. So Chris said, and we spoke previously about, is this where psychological safety is key?
Completely.
Danny replied saying, great question, Chris. What we do is part of our organizational culture. We need to make giving feedback normalized, and the environment of safety that enables this, which is exactly supporting what Sarah was just saying.
Yeah.
And next up, we've got Andy saying, I appreciate why this annual approach is common, but management is constant, not periodic. Exactly. Working as collaborative, and good managers and leaders can both empower and remain accountable without blame culture forming.
Absolutely.
That's the goal, isn't it? That is
absolutely
everybody's goal.
And we can't, as I said earlier, we can't change a whole organization ourselves. They need some help. People have to want to change, and it has to start at the top down. But every single one of us could do this better, even a bit better. And when we do, we start to change perception a little bit within ourselves. We get better at giving it. You just need to learn how and practice and get feedback yourself on how you're giving feedback. So if you think you're doing it well already, here's a thought: ask for some feedback. Something like, I've been giving you feedback. Has it been helpful? What's helpful about it? How could I do it better? What do you like about how I give you feedback? Just open the door and see what's behind it, and don't be afraid, because that then allows other people to see your human side as a leader, but also lowers your own tension because you're practicing getting feedback all the time.
Yeah.
Can I jump in? I know do you want to do the other comments first, actually, Melinda?
Yeah, I'll just be those. Mohammed has joined us and is saying hello from Morocco.
Hello to you in Morocco. Thank you for joining us.
And we've got from Joy, or Jay, sorry.
It's Jay.
The mask, it's hard to see. Hi, Business Brunch. Leaders need to have regular, frequent, quality conversations. They can be in 12 one-to-ones at the coffee machine, whether virtual or not, of course. When this is engendered, then most things are on the table to discuss because you've built trust.
Absolutely, Jay. Trust underpins everything that we do. If you've got low trust, you're really fighting a losing battle. First thing is always create a high trust relationship. And if you don't know how to do that, think about empathy, think about how you build credibility. And if you don't know anything about that, then please research it or give me a shout. Or look, I think I've probably got something on my website about it. But we need to educate leaders more on this to be able to create these high trust relationships.
Yep. And Kimberly is agreeing. We all appreciate those unique personalities with uncanny wisdom.
Do you want to read this one, Vanessa?
Yeah, go on. So Jay, just in case Melinda can't see, yeah. Even more powerful is that when you ask someone to self-appraise on a project or a piece of work, that's a good idea. What do they think? This way you raise self-awareness, ask them what went well and what they would tweak to achieve an even better results. Which is how will you incorporate those elements in your next task, work or project?
That encompasses it beautifully. And the second we start to think about raising our own self-awareness, the fear can start to kick in, which is, I don't really want to hear it. What if they say this? And so there's some mind management we need to do, which is recognize you're probably going to go into a threat state. Some of us love feedback and will go and look for it all the time. Very rarely. Most of us are like, well, I don't really want to know what I didn't do well because it means this and it means that. And so manage your own mindset. Very good points. Oh, that's a good point from you, Jay, as well. Replicating what you're encouraging. Yeah, absolutely. You don't lead by example. You're never going to get it back. Never going to get it back.
And the last one that we have at the moment is from Danny. It's referenced, he cited this Forbes article in a report recently. And if you're interested in best practice appraisals, feedback approaches, and other after the session, of course.
Great. Yeah, thank you for sharing that, Danny. I'll have a look at that. Very, very good. And
so I think so. My question with this is kind of, as a leader, we can look at better models like the GROW model that will guide us in how to do it, or we can talk to Sarah and get a one-to-one on how to do it better and how to give better feedback and receive feedback and ask for it and everything. A lot of times now we get the dreaded 360 feedback.
Whoa.
How can we, because as a leader we can learn it, but how can we then teach everyone? Because there's also this blame culture thing as well, and if you've got a culture of blame, then the 360 feedback is never going to be good, is it? And people will wait to kind of dig the knife in potentially. So how can as leaders, how can we manage that? Or should we not have 360 feedback? What do you think?
What a great question. So first of all, there are so many 360 feedback tools out there that are worth looking at. And there are many that are absolutely shocking. And all they do is incite nastiness and poor feedback and judgment and bias. So you've got to be very careful. I use one, which is the only one that I will use, which is a 360 leadership feedback tool called the LEAPA, which is, I can't remember, LEIPA. But anyway, it's on my LinkedIn profile if you want to have a look at it. But it focuses purely on behaviors. And it's not whether you're doing it good or bad, it's whether I'm seeing it or not. And am I seeing it as much as I want, or do I need it a bit more? So it's purely based on, do I see you do this? Yes or no? How often do I see you do it? Is it enough or not? Then this tool allows you to give helpful feedback based on behaviors, not based on your own judgments and bias, which is what I think a lot of these feedback tools, especially the ones that aren't working, are doing. And people aren't trained and emotionally intelligent enough or emotionally self-controlled enough that when they get the opportunity to let everything go that they've been holding in for the last 6 months, they just go there because it's safe and I can really slag you off on here. And hope, but it's based on perception, not on reality. It's not based on, I'm not giving you a list of things to choose.
Agrees again.
Yeah, the dog's all over this. The dog is one feedback cool thing. So if you're going to use 360, use the right tool, research them carefully, and make sure if you're just asking for feedback, you ask really good questions that allow people to give really good answers based on fact, not fiction. They are incredibly powerful tools when they're used well, and I use them with a lot of my clients, especially as they're developing into senior leadership roles, but also senior leaders as well, to see the areas they could just do a bit better at. Because if you don't want to grow, you shouldn't be in a leadership position. If you don't want to be better all the time, you shouldn't be in a leadership position, because that's your job, is to inspire other people to be better all the time. So I am pro 360, but make sure they're good ones.
Yep. A few more comments coming in. Oh.
A senior comment on my appearance on my 360. Again, that's... I mean, they just shouldn't be doing that on a 360. That's a one-to-one conversation. If there's anything that I mean, if there was something really wrong with your appearance, if you're turning up dressed up as a fairy and you're going to a really serious business environment, or a gorilla or Yoda on a very serious business front, you might want to give people feedback to say it's not appropriate. But there is a way to do that, which is not in a 360. It's hell. That's awful. Really awful.
And Chris had commented that they're in an organization that does not speak the truth on formal appraisals. Only good news is recorded, because any negative is very detrimental to promotion and obviously perhaps compensation reviews as well, which is judged by a faceless central HR function. So basically someone's just using some sort of chart to say, if you reach this number here, then you get that. Which it's not achieving what they want to achieve, is it? It's not achieving, it's just making, it's like presenteeism. Just because someone's present at, doesn't mean they're doing the job. Just because this process is present doesn't mean it's doing its job.
No, there's a lot of education that needs to be had, and the bigger the organization gets, the harder it gets, because people get further and further removed from reality. But the truth is that it's not being done well enough, and when it isn't, and that comment has just really triggered this thought, is that you lose money, because what you're doing is you're getting people to tick boxes. They're not as fulfilled whilst they're ticking the boxes anyway. And where people aren't as fulfilled, we know there's a downside to productivity. So it's just ridiculous. I cannot understand any organization that doesn't take this seriously, because when they do, and the organizations do, you see the difference it makes. You know, if people are actually able to be open and honest. And one of the organizations I worked with very, very recently, you know, they had an increase in growth in company value of 25 million. And the work that we did to get them to that involved so much of this: being more honest, being more open, giving each other feedback, getting coached, sharing how they were feeling, all this honest trust, and being able to be better at giving feedback and growing people. It wasn't perfect, but, you know, it made a massive increase to the bottom line. So you can make more money by doing this, not less. You must invest. It's not, well, I mean, it is an option. It depends how good you want to be, how successful you want to be. If you want to be mediocre, you know, carry on as you are. Who wants to be mediocre? No, not me.
Yeah. And Jay is definitely supporting the idea of training people before using 360 and make sure it's safe.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be like basically or the majority of Twitter, which is ways of flagging people off anonymously, which I've seen happen in 360s as well, is that, you know, there's personal gripes are anonymously aired in 360s, which is inappropriate, not helpful, and, you know, just kind of makes the process be resented as well, which is not what it should be doing.
It is not the purpose of a 360 to air personal grievances. That should be done outside of that. The 360 should be, here's what you're doing well, or here's some things that you could do better. Here's some stuff that I notice you're doing. I'd like a bit more of that or a bit less of that. And this will make me feel better and do my job better. But there is nothing about how you look, necessarily your personality. You know, maybe there's some things in there about your communication style, possibly, but if that's what you're getting feedback on, then be prepared to get that. But, you know, the 360 that I use, people have to choose between 8 and 10 people to feedback on them. They have to go and have a conversation with them, explain why the feedback is happening, what they expect, what will happen next. They're made to feel much more comfortable as to what they're going to do in that feedback. So when it lands on their desk or in their inbox, they don't go, oh, good, this is an opportunity to slag you off. Or, oh my God, I can't really say what I really think. Yeah, there's so much to this.
There is. I like the 360 idea that you actually, the leader would actually talk to the person and not just send an email and a form. Because that's like, as you were saying, Yoda, Melinda, that it can be a bit kind of anonymous, can't it? So I think if you have to actually give your feedback physically, face to face, then I think people would be less biased and wouldn't use it as much as you know, a way to point blame or
as a vendetta, basically. Yeah. There's been some definitely support for Jay in the comments, and in the interest of time, because we only have 1 minute left, I'll throw to Andy, who has said he has to bail early, but this has been a great session again. Lots of wisdom from both the panel and in the comments. So
absolutely, yeah.
Everyone. Any final thoughts, Sarah, in our last minute on this very deep topic?
Yeah, I would say there's a huge amount to this, and I would just be the person that you wish was giving you feedback. So give the feedback, do it well, learn to do it better, inspire other people to do it, make it safe. And the more of us that start to do it better and better, the less it becomes the bigger, scary thing. And go and read the Forbes article that Danny's put on. Read my article that I put on LinkedIn last week. And that should give you some real good tips and advice on how to do this if you're not sure whether you're doing it quite well or not. And of course, always get in touch if you need any more help. But can I just say a big thank you to everybody that's contributed, asked questions, shared their thoughts. Jay, you've been really vulnerable. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, let's just get better at it.
Let's. Wonderful. Thank you very much. Really informative session. I really enjoyed it. I've loved working with Yoda this week. I kind of feel bad that I took my mask off, so I thought I'd better put it on for the last minute.
Just very quickly before we go, next week is our first birthday.
Is it?
We have been going for 12 months, and I would like to, for those people that keep coming back and regularly support us, we love you. Thank you so much. Danny, Andy, Kimberly, I know you're in a lot. Chris has been in a few times. Jay's been in a few times. And anyone that's watching on replay, please say hello. So next week, we need to think of something special to do because it's our first birthday.
Right, we shall think about that. Fabulous. See you all next week, everyone. And have a fabulous week.
Bye. Thank you for joining us. Bye-bye.